murder is unjust, then why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instruct Khidr alayhi salam, the story of Musa alayhi salam, to murder or to kill a child?
Again, this goes back to something I mentioned earlier. How do we determine what is just and unjust? Is it left to the human mind, or is it what the divine law ordains? The answer is, for us it is what the divine law ordains. So the divine law is in accordance with the divine command. So the divine command, if the command for one person is that you can kill and for the other is that you cannot kill, the divine command is what dictates what is just and unjust. But if you leave it to the mind to determine, then the divine order can, then the human mind can overrule the divine command. So there is no contradiction, Islamically speaking. So the person would have to counter this argument that God is the one who determines what is good and bad, not the human mind.
So if someone looks at Islam, they're not a Muslim, and they focus on this particular anecdote, they're possibly going to think that Islam is not a just religion.
Again, if the person cannot accept that God is the one who determines what is good and bad, then this is a tenet of faith or creed, denial of which would mean that they would not accept Islam. Meaning they have their choice to accept or not. Meaning, how do we define good or bad? Is it left to the human mind, or is it determined by God Almighty?
So then they might say, why has Allah given people, not given people this option? Why is it God who determines what is just? Why don't humans get this opportunity to determine what is just and what is not just?
If humans were left to determine what is just and unjust, each human would have a different opinion. So for instance, one person would say you are permitted half a glass of lager, and the other person would say a full glass of lager, and the other person would say no lager at all. Meaning, who would be left to determine? Everyone would fight one another for a different law. Is that not the case?
Yes,
So therefore the divine is the one who determines.